family, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of G-Boot 2786. This is Gavin Richard with Gavin Richard Presents. This story happened about a week or two ago. Now, I'm going to show you in conjunction some videos that you're going to see, and I want you to make up your determination on this. Of course, I'm a little late with it, but I wanted to obviously get all of the facts and understand some more stuff. And I was also busy doing some other things too, of course, but I have some other videos that I've put out. But you all know what's been going on with this coronavirus pandemic. You will know that there have been lockdowns across the country, not even just across the country, but the entire world. And different cities have their own rules and orders that they have in place, their own ordinances, and states as well. And this is coming from Dallas, Texas. Now you see the headline. This is from WFAA. Black hairstylist shamed over salon ad as white Dallas salon owner praised for reopening. So I'm going to do this video in conjunction with a couple other videos because all of this is relevant. Now, give me 1 second, okay? So I'm going to play the first clip.
Brittany Brown is a hairstylist in Fort Worth who says it's like the tale of two cities.
But it is definitely unfair.
Top state political leaders, including Governor Greg Abbott, have publicly supported North Dallas salon owner Shelly Luther. Senator Ted Cruz got his haircut Friday at her salon, despite the fact Luther intentionally ignored a judge's order to close her salon after opening early in violation of Governor Abbott's own shelter-in-place order. Meanwhile, Brown was publicly shamed by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations on Facebook. The Post warned, please be advised that in addition to the criminal penalties under the executive order, there are potential TDLR violations that could subject you to administrative fines and sanctions.
And within like 30 minutes, like it went like viral, and I started getting like all these nasty comments and inboxes, basically saying that I was, promoting doing services when I really wasn't.
Brown says it all started when a prepaid ad she purchased before the shutdowns was still popping up on Facebook, but she says she wasn't even doing hair because she's pregnant with twins.
It just seemed unfair the way they're promoting her versus how they did me. So it was more of like a shaming thing for me.
I asked Attorney General Ken Paxton earlier this week why the different treatment. He said he didn't know anything about Brown's case.
I don't expect these decisions to be made perfectly, and they're not going to be made exactly the same. That's not going to happen. This is too much of an uncharted path.
But critics say that's the problem. There are mixed messages coming from state leaders. Brown says she too is a mother who needs to feed her kids, who complied with the order. She wonders what would have happened if she'd openly violated it.
Definitely I believe would have played out differently for me. I definitely think so.
Luther stayed open. Brown says she will remain closed because she still doesn't feel safe cutting hair. In Arlington, I'm Rebecca Lowe.
All right, so you guys get the idea of what happened. Tale of two cities indeed. A black woman who's a hairstylist, she gets shamed publicly by the Texas Regulatory Board, and yet this white woman, Shelly Luther, is being paraded like Rosa Parks. She's the white Rosa Parks, supposedly, in the media and by Republicans who have dashed around. You saw Ted Cruz was at her salon getting a haircut. You also saw the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, and the Attorney General was even intervening on it. So let me show you the next video, okay? This is from, let me see. Okay, this one is from ABC out in Houston, Texas. So I'm going to play this video for you.
Life is tough enough these days, so join us for an hour of fun.
Better days start live.
God, that's my ears.
Governor Greg Abbott is announcing that owners should no longer be thrown in jail for refusing to shut down. And you may remember this story that everybody has been talking about. Governor Abbott says this order is retroactive and if it's correctly applied, should free this woman. This is Shelly Luther. She is a salon owner in North Texas who was jailed for refusing to close her business. Now, Abbott went on to say, and we are quoting him here now, throwing Texans in jail who have had their businesses shut down through no fault of their own is, and this is his word, nonsensical. Well,
now, that's the governor of Texas. saying this. Greg Abbott. And you saw from the video, just from looking at, not just the video, but above the video, the headline here, Texas Attorney General told to stop meddling in salon court case. The Attorney General got involved. And he blasted the judge for jailing the Dallas salon owner. In a letter to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, 12 civil district judges called Paxton's letter to Judge Eric Moy inappropriate and equally unwelcome. Eric Moy is a black judge in Dallas, Texas, and the reason he jailed, this is the actual letter that he sent. The reason he jailed her was not because she kept the business, because she failed to keep the business closed. She was jailed for what's called contempt of court. Okay? All she had to do was apologize for opening it while there's an order in place that all businesses stay closed. That order went out by the governor. You can't keep your business open until after this order is put, May 15th. You have people coming in and out, especially if you get a large crowd. You're talking about a salon where you're dealing with cutting hair and cutting nails. You're too close with people. And of course, not to mention also, is it sanitary? Things to be cleaned and sanitized. You know, you're dealing with the public in general. So, out of character, I've never heard of an attorney general writing a letter, and of course you could tell this is politically motivated, writing a letter to a judge about how he runs his court. Let's read the letter. Dated May 6, 2020. That was over 11 days ago. Dear Judge Moy, yesterday you ordered Miss Shelly Luther confined in a penal facility for operating her small business. I urge you to reconsider and immediately release Miss Luther. As a mother, Miss Luther wanted to feed her children. As a small business owner, she wanted to help her employees feed their children. Well, let me just stop right there. Shelly Luther is not the only woman, only man for that man, or only person, only small business owner that had to have their store closed. You saw the lady, Miss Brown, who's closed her salon, and she's pregnant. You don't think she has a reason to go to work, to not go to work? You think that we just sit up on our asses every day, watch TV, and collect welfare? All of our people are not like that. This is a small business owner herself. And she works hard to provide for her family. But yet, you have the Attorney General not commenting on her. Said he knew nothing about her case, which I think is bullshit. He knows enough about this. Look at this, getting publicly shamed by the Texas Regulatory Board. Threatening to punish her for reopening. But you praise this heifer like she's Rosa Parks. Unbelievable. Undirty word believable. But no, I can believe it. This is what we go through in America. This is what the black man has to go through. This is what the black woman has to go through. But let's continue. Indeed, local officials in Dallas have already gone considerably farther in cases less deserving of enforcement discretion. The Dallas County District Attorney announced that he will not prosecute theft of personal items less than $750 unless the evidence shows that the alleged theft was for economic gain. If Dallas County is prepared to completely forego prosecution of actual thefts, it cannot confine a woman to jail because she operated her business. Recent events have been trying for everybody, both everyday Texans and those involved in our justice system. This is why the Dallas County Sheriff recently requested that local arresting agencies exercise their discretion to bring fewer people to jail. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people affected by this coronavirus that are still going to jail. The Sheriff's Department is not stopping them. They haven't stopped these brothers. They ain't stopping Pookie and Ray Ray from not going to jail. From going to jail. They're not trying to stop that. Exercising similar discretion here, the court should recognize that the confinement is not needed in this case. The disconnect between the approach taken by local law enforcement and the approach taken by this court highlights the injustice of continuing to confine Ms. Luther. In recent weeks, Dallas County has voluntarily reduced its jail population by about 1,000 people due to concerns about COVID-19. A community that released all those people, some of whom committed serious crimes, can certainly stand to release one more, a mother whose only crime was operating a small business in an effort to feed her children. Finally, the court's confinement order is significantly overboard. Under the governor's new executive order, Ms. Luther will be allowed to operate her business in just 2 days. Confining Ms. Luther for 7 days, well after she could be operating her business and providing for her children, is unjustifiable. In light of the foregoing, your actions abused your discretion in holding Ms. Luther in contempt and ordering her to jail in a civil court proceeding. For these reasons, the court should immediately reconsider its order and release Ms. Luther from confinement. Best regards, Ken Paxton, Attorney General of Texas. Well, I would say, Attorney General Paxton, you are out of order. You know, did you send this letter to Tammy Kemp when she hugged Amber Geiger, a convicted murderer, for shooting Botham Jean? Where was the letter for her? Where was Governor Abbott? Since he's calling what Judge Eric Moy did shameful and nonsensical. I'm glad that these judges actually called out the AG to stop meddling in a court case. He should. It has nothing to do with him. As a current member of the bar, you certainly should be aware of the impropriety of this contact as prohibited by Canon 3B8 of the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct. The letter to Paxton stated, "It in this context, for you to urge a judge towards a particular substantive outcome in this matter is most inappropriate and equally unwelcome. Please do not communicate with the court in this matter further." Moy, the letter was obtained by Dallas Morning News, and it was signed by Eric Moy, the judge who sentenced Luther, and 11 others. So it wasn't just Miss Luther, it was others. Moy said during Tuesday's hearing that he would consider levying a fine instead of jail time if Luther would apologize and not reopen until she was allowed to do so. And keep in mind, she only had to reopen within 2 days. If that was the case, then all she had to do was keep it closed. Feeding my kids is not selfish, she told Moy. If you think the law is more important than getting kids fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I'm not going to shut down the salon. And Moy wrote in his judgment of contempt, the defiance of the court's order was open, flagrant, and intentional. He noted that despite being given the opportunity to apologize, Luther has expressed no contrition, remorse, or regret for her actions. And Paxton here has served as Attorney General since 2015 when he was elected to succeed Greg Abbott, who in turn became governor of Texas. All 12 judges who signed the letters are Democrats. Now, I'm going to show this. This was outside of the courthouse by supporters for Judge Eric Moy. Supporters for Judge Moy are out because not only the criticism he's facing from the governor, but there are calls now by Miss Luther, by Rosa Walks, that's what I'll call her supporters, this governor, and others to remove Eric Moy. Dallas Judge Eric Moy received criticism and support for sentencing Dallas salon owner Shelly Luther to jail for contempt of court after she kept her salon open amid coronavirus restrictions. Protesters criticized state leaders and said they are at fault for supporting Luther and not Moy. Judge Moy followed the law, and he bent over backwards to get her out of this mess, and she chose not to do so, said Jasmine Crockett, Dallas attorney and candidate for state rep 100. I want to get back to a time when politicians were honest and worked for the people. Judge Moy didn't do anything wrong. Crockett believes Judge Moy's ruling will stand because she
Brittany Brown is a hairstylist in Fort Worth who says it's like the tale of two cities.
But it is definitely
Crockett believes Luther will have to go back to jail to finish out her sentence. Other supporters argued race played a factor. This is white supremacy from powerful white leaders who are trying to undermine the rule of law because it happened to be applied properly to a white woman, Dallas citizen John Fullenwinder said. Judge Moy is the only one in the whole thing who has acted honorably. Luther could have avoided jail by simply apologizing to the court. Luther spoke at a rally over the weekend about getting rid of Judge Moy. We need to keep an eagle eye on him at all times, or we just get rid of him, so let's do that. Her supporters said Moy's ruling was a bad abuse of power. And of course, you guys already know that Greg Abbott had modified his order so that she could get out of jail. Now, just to look at the letter, I want to see how long it was. Okay, so wow. Short but sweet. Dear General Paxton, your correspondence of date has been received by the 14th JDC of Texas sitting in Dallas. Please accept this collective response. At the outset, we, the 12 duly Texas Civil District Court judges sitting in Dallas County, are troubled by what appears to be an ex parte communication about a pending case directed to the court without consideration of other litigants. As a current member of the bar, you certainly should be aware of the impropriety of this conduct as prohibited by Canon 3B8 of the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct. A judge shall not initiate, permit, or consider ex parte communications or other communications made to the judge outside the presence of the parties. In this context, for you to urge a judge towards a particular substantive outcome in this matter is most inappropriate and equally unwelcome. Please do not communicate with the court in this manner further. Similarly, your comment in the penultimate sentence of your correspondence is also inappropriate. The Court of Appeals and the Texas Supreme Court will ultimately make any determination as to any alleged abuse of discretion by this or any other court. This will only occur after all parties are afforded due process and an opportunity to be heard. It is contrary to the concept of an independent judiciary and offends the tradition of separation of powers for any member of the executive branch of Texas government to interject itself into the proceedings of the judicial branch. We trust that this shall not happen further. For the sake of all of the citizens of Texas, please let the judicial process play out without any further interference. Sincerely, originally signed by Eric V. Moy, originally signed by Bonnie Goldstein. These are all the civil court judges of the 14th Judicial District that signed this. So, whoo, good for them. Okay, so there you have it, folks. They're 100% right. I'm glad it really told him off. Now, we got to protect a brother like this, but I was going to do this in a live stream. I wanted to talk about the murder of Breonna Taylor, and I'll probably do that in a little bit later on. But I wanted to do a comment on this video, on this topic, because it really disturbed me. It disturbed me how one person is being treated versus another, and how we have these judges and these politicians who basically want to do what they want to do instead of what is in the best interest of the people. you know, this is Judge Moy here, and we got to protect the judge like that. We also got to protect brother Judge Olu Stevens. Judge Olu Stevens is also involved in the Breonna Taylor matter. He just gave bail, not granted bail, but he granted what was called, he lowered his conditions so that the brother who shot in the apartment that Breonna Taylor was in, her boyfriend, who shot back in self-defense supposedly, he, and I always say allegedly, but he released him. So I'm going to be doing a video shortly on that. And if you remember Judge Olu Stevens, he released a man to home incarceration. Judge Olu Stevens was the brother that was suspended by the Judiciary Committee in Kentucky because he challenged the jury makeup in a criminal proceeding. And he felt clearly that it was a racial issue to have a predominantly or all-white jury for a black defendant. He called out the prosecutor in the way that they were doing their challenges, and he got suspended for it. Now, we don't have too many judges like Olu Stevens, but it's up to us. He's a rarity. But it is up to us when we have judges like that who are in the favor of doing what is right. That's a rarity. For a judge to do something for the people, what's right by the people and what's right by the Constitution and the laws and the evidence. I'm not trying to say he does favoritism, but we don't have too many judges that are not tied at the hip to, you know, these police unions and to these officers, and in general, they go by what the evidence is, and they don't believe all the bullshit that they've been fed. So we need to protect judges like Eric Moy and judges like Olu Stevens. And I'm going to do, you'll see a separate video that I'm going to do, but this is Brother Olu Stevens, who, right here, just so y'all can see his picture, he's from Louisville, Kentucky. I think that's a video of him right there. Yeah.
On Monday,
He was suspended 90 days without pay in an agreement with attorneys. That was back in 2016.
Kentucky Judge Olu Stevens accepted a 90-day suspension without pay in an agreement with attorneys. The agreement came at the start of a hearing that could have possibly taken Stevens off the bench for good. Stevens admitted to violating judicial rules and acknowledged his social media rant against prosecutor Tom Wine was wrong. In offensive posts that threatened to end his judicial career, Stevens' comments began a debate about racial fairness, judicial neutrality, and free speech for judges. His attacks occurred after Wine questioned his authority to do away with a jury panel because it lacked minorities.
All right. So we're going to be doing some videos, but we need to protect brothers like Judge Eric Moy and Judge Olu Stevens, you know, especially when they come under attack. You know, we should be there for, you know, them. And, you know, Judge Eric Moy, I'm sorry, I was typing. You know, Judge Eric Moy, who I don't know how long exactly he's been on the bench, but of course, this is all politically motivated. You know, Donald Trump and Greg Abbott, who are all Republicans, they're trying to reopen Texas as soon as possible. And, of course, this story, you know, they're using that Shelly Luther woman as grounds, or Rosa Parks, I should say, Rosa. They're using her to basically push an agenda. And the same way Democrats do the same thing. It's not, it has, you know, of course, it's also a racial thing. And currently Moy is running for that. Well, there you go. I didn't know that it was an election season. So apparently he advanced the primary on March 3rd, 2020. And the general election is November 3rd, 2020. So there you go. There's your answer why the governor and why the attorney general got involved, why Ted Cruz is there. and you have 12 Democrats that are on the bench in 14th Judicial District Court. So we need to protect brothers like that. So anyway, guys, I'm going to do another video, but I'm getting ready to watch The Last Dance in a little bit too, so it'll probably be later tonight. You guys stay tuned for that. Or I might just do a live stream and just talk with y'all. I haven't done that in a while. So you guys be safe, be blessed. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share. Also, please donate to the Cash App, to PayPal. We got to keep the channel going, so anything you can give, I appreciate. You guys be safe and be blessed. Love y'all. Peace.